Alex is the name, stock market is the game. What if the S&P 500 stops working? Not 20%, not crashes for a year. I mean, really stops working. What if it just does not recover? Because if you invest long term, at some point this thought shows up in your head. It's quiet, but it's there. What if the whole system collapses? And today I don't want to brush that fear away. I want to look at it directly. Because once you really think it through, something interesting happens. You realize that if the S&P 500 truly stops working, investing will be the least of your problems. First, let's clarify something. When people say, what if it stops working? What do they actually mean? Maybe the US economy collapses permanently, forever, gone. Or maybe the stock market never recovers after one major crash. Or maybe the whole system changes so much that history no longer matters. Fair concerns, but let's just slow it down for a second and enjoy this beautiful scenery. The S&P 500 is not one company. It's not one CEO, and definitely it is not one industry. It's 500 of the biggest, most powerful companies in the United States. And those companies are constantly changing. Like, I need to change the camera because it's a bit heavy. The index you are investing in today is not the same index from the 1990s or the 2000s or even 10 years ago. The industries fade, but new ones rise. Old giants disappear, but guess what? New giants will have them replaced. The S&P 500 does not stay still. It is evolving. So for it to permanently stop working, you would need something much bigger than a bad year. You would need corporate profits to collapse long term. You would need innovation to just simply freeze. You would need productivity to decline, but for decades. That's not a market dip. That's a civilization level shift. So let's just talk history for a second. The S&P 500 has lived through the Great Depression, World War II, Cold Wars, and oil crashes, dot-com crashes, you name it. The 2008 financial meltdown, a global pandemic that shut down the planet. Remember the COVID. Massive inflation waves, political chaos. Every single time people said this time is going to be different. But every single time, eventually, the market did the spectacular thing and it just recovered. Not because it is magical, not because it's guaranteed, but because companies kept building, because people like Elon Musk exist, for example. Crazy people, huh? Even during war, people will have things produced. Even during recession, the people will have things invented. Or during the chaos, someone somewhere is solving a problem and making money doing it. The S&P 500 reflects that exact energy. It reflects the simple human productivity. As long as humans continue to work, compete, innovate, and consume, there is the fuel. So now let's try to go a bit deeper. What if America declines? That is one serious question, because you look at the news, you know what's happening. Maybe the US loses dominance. Maybe another region just simply rises. But here's something people kind of forget. The companies inside the S&P 500 are not your local small business. They operate globally. They generate revenue from all over this world. When you invest in Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, you are not investing in one street in America. You are investing in global systems, okay? And here is the uncomfortable truth. If the US truly collapses economically in a permanent way, your ETF portfolio won't be the only thing affected. Your job obviously will be affected. The currency, your currency will be affected. Probably your pension, your property, your bank deposits. Basically, it's going to be everything. So in that scenario, the stock market will not be the problem anymore. It's going to be a society issue. And if we ever reach that point, just careful not to fall. And if we ever reach that point, you won't need investment advice. You will need survival advice. So now let's bring it back to something more realistic, okay? Is there risk? Of course, like in anything, huh? But let me just tweak this so you don't get a burned out face. Of course, is there risk? Of course, but the real risk is not the system fails. The real risk is that you fail the system. Most people don't lose money because the market disappears. They lose because they will panic. They sell at the worst possible time, and they stop investing when things get uncomfortable. They chase something faster. The S&P 500 has a very simple filter. It rewards patience, and it will punish the emotions. So with that in your head, here is another honest concern. What if returns are lower in the future? Maybe instead of 10%, it's what the S&P 500 is giving now, maybe it's gonna be 8% or 7%. Maybe it's more volatile. That's possible, but even moderate long-term returns combined with the consistency and decades still create powerful outcomes. The system does not need to be perfect. It just needs to function. And if it functions even imperfectly, compounding, because that's the key, that's still going to work. So let me explain it in a way that feels familiar to me. Investing is like flying. When turbulence hits, passengers will panic, while the pilots don't. Because turbulence doesn't mean the plane is broken. It means air is moving. Markets are the turbulence. The S&P 500 isn't fragile glass. It's an adaptive machine. And unless the engine of global productivity completely shuts down, the flight continues. So let's finish where we started. If the S&P 500 stops working permanently, that would mean corporate capitalism has collapsed. Innovation has stalled, and the global economic structure has only fractured. In that world, your investment portfolio won't be the main concern. So, up until that happens, the bigger danger is not the collapse, it's hesitation, it's the fear, it's waiting forever for certainty that will never ever come. The S&P 500 does not promise perfection, it just offers participation. And if you believe humans will continue to build and to create and to compete and improve, then you are already understanding why and how this works. So if you made it this far, you are not looking for hype. You are thinking long term. And already that puts you ahead. Life is simple. It's just the people that complicate it. Like and subscribe for me. Ciao.